We've all heard the story. Death is a transition, a gentle return to the light where we review our lives, learn lessons, and then choose to reincarnate for further growth. It's a beautiful narrative, one that brings comfort to millions. But what if this narrative is the most sophisticated prison ever conceived? A growing body of alternative thought, drawing from ancient Gnostic texts, near-death experiences, and channeled works, suggests a far more unsettling reality. It proposes that upon death, we encounter a system of manipulation designed to trick and recycle our consciousness back into the cycle of rebirth. To escape, we must reject the seductive light and remember our own sovereign power. This is the theory of the reincarnation trap, and today we'll explore its architecture and how to break free. To understand the trap, we must go back to the Gnostics of the 1st centuries AD. These spiritual rebels viewed the material universe not as a divine creation, but as a flawed construct created by a lesser entity called the Demiurge. They called this realm the Kenoma, or the Void. The Demiurge, often identified with the jealous God of the Old Testament, is not the true transcendent God, but a blind creator who fashions the physical world as a prison for the divine spark within humanity. Serving the Demiurge are the Archons, the jailers of the material world. Their primary function is to keep humanity ignorant of its true divine origin, trapped in a cycle of birth, death, and forgetfulness. The Nag Hammadi Library, discovered in 1945, details how after death, the soul must ascend through 7 planetary spheres, each guarded by an Archon demanding passwords and testing knowledge. If the soul is ignorant, it is easily captured and recycled. The most critical part of the trap is what many near-death experiencers describe as the being of light or the tunnel of light. The Gnostics would identify this as the final and most potent trick, the false light of the Demiurge. This being appears as a loving, all-knowing presence, often taking the form of a religious figure like Jesus or a beloved relative. It shows you a life review, not for learning, but for judgment, reinforcing the concept of karma and your own shortcomings. It then encourages you to go back to learn more lessons or to rest in the light. This light, the Gnostics warn, is the very source of amnesia. To enter it is to be stripped of your memories, your personality, and your critical awareness, and then forcefully shot back into a new physical body to begin the cycle anew. This is the recycling station of the soul. While more integrated into mainstream spirituality, ancient Vedic and Tibetan Buddhist traditions contain strikingly similar architecture, though often interpreted through a different philosophical lens. In Tibetan Buddhism, the period between death and rebirth is detailed in the Bardo Thirdal, or the Tibetan Book of the Dead. The Bardo is an intermediate, dreamlike state where the consciousness encounters a series of visions. First, one experiences a clear light of reality, the true nature of mind. If the soul fails to recognize and merge with this, it then encounters a secondary light, followed by a procession of both peaceful and wrathful deities. The text is a guide urging the deceased to recognize that these deities are merely projections of their own mind. The trap theory posits that these deities are the same archontic gatekeepers described by the Gnostics, using culturally relevant forms to inspire awe, fear, or attachment. The lords of karma, who are said to judge a soul and assign its next life based on past actions, could be interpreted as the administrators of the recycling program. The system runs on the soul's own acquiescence to the law of karma and its desire for a better next life, a desire that keeps it firmly within the system. This is a key insight. The trap is not just external. It operates through our own beliefs and attachments. The fear of punishment and the hope for reward are the hooks that keep us coming back. By accepting karma as a fixed law, we give away our power to external judges. But what if karma is not a law but a choice? What if we can step off the wheel entirely? This requires a radical shift in perspective, from seeing ourselves as students in a school to recognizing ourselves as sovereign beings who have forgotten our true nature. The modern incarnation of this theory has been heavily influenced by the hypnotic regression work of Dolores Cannon. Through decades of past life regressions, Cannon and others have reported clients describing a soul trap where souls are tricked into reincarnating by beings of light who present a false life review. These accounts often describe a feeling of being herded like sheep into a new body, with memories erased. While controversial, these reports offer a contemporary perspective on ancient warnings. They suggest that the trap is not just a philosophical concept, but an experiential reality for many. The consistency across cultures and time periods is striking. Whether you view these as literal descriptions or powerful metaphors, they challenge us to question the default narrative of death and rebirth. Perhaps the greatest freedom lies in questioning everything we've been told. So how do we escape? The key, according to these teachings, is to recognize the trap before we die. We must cultivate a deep, unshakable awareness of our own divine nature and sovereignty. In the moment of death, when the light appears, we must not enter it. Instead, we must assert our will. I am not a product of this system. I am a sovereign being of light, and I choose to go beyond. This requires practice. Meditation, self-inquiry, and studying esoteric texts can help us build this awareness. Some traditions recommend visualizing a different path, such as a dark tunnel that leads to the true source. Ultimately, the escape is an act of radical remembering. We are not the body, not the mind, but the eternal consciousness that was never born and can never die. The trap only exists if we believe in it. Our freedom is our birthright.